Nobody cares about what's happening to the Uyghurs, okay? You bring it up because you really care, and I think that's nice that you care. The rest of us don't care. I'm just telling you a very hard...
Wait, you're saying you personally don't care?
I'm telling you a very hard, ugly truth, okay? Of all the things that I care about, yes, it is below my line.
This is Chamath Palihapitiya, and he does not care about genocide and human rights violations.
Okay? Of all the things that I care about, it is below my line.
Disappointing.
I care about the fact that our economy could turn on a dime if China invades Taiwan. I care about that.
Oh, by the way, he also has a stake in the NBA's Golden State Warriors. Dude is a freaking billionaire. No surprise, he cares about finances first.
I care about climate change. You know, I care about I care about America's crippling and, decrepit healthcare infrastructure. But if you're asking me, do I care about a segment of a class of people in another country? Not until we can take care of ourselves will I prioritize them over us. And I think a lot of people believe that. And I'm sorry if that's a hard truth to hear. But every time I say that I care about the Uyghurs, I'm really just lying if I don't really care. And so I'd rather not lie to you and tell you the truth. It's not a priority for me.
Just a despicable, deplorable, inhumane answer.
Row by row, there are hundreds of them, seated on the ground, heads shaved, blindfolded. Their hands are bound behind their backs as dozens of guards hover in SWAT uniforms.
Drone footage captured what China has been denying for roughly 3 years now, the human rights violations to the Uyghurs.
This covert, low-quality footage that we've adjusted to reveal some details and obscure others gives us some rare insights into how people in this program live and are indoctrinated.
For some, all it takes is a shred of empathy, but for Chamath, it doesn't exist. Forced birth control and sterilization policies targeting Uyghurs in China's far western Xinjiang province were intended to reduce the group's population, said Sir Jeffrey Nice after the Uyghur Tribunal, a group of 9 lawyers, academics, and business people in a 63-page judgment. The United States Holocaust Museum, founded by survivor and author Elie Wiesel, wrote in a November 2021 report of China's mass surveillance, networks of government-run detention centers and prisons in Xinjiang, mass incarceration between 1 to 3 million people, primarily Uyghurs, with a deepening assault on Uyghur female reproductive capacity through forced sterilization and forced IUD placement, as well as the separation of the sexes through mass detention and forcible transfer. The failures that led to the Holocaust and the conviction that the Holocaust was preventable, as are future genocides, are the foundation for the center's work. But for Chamath and many others, it simply falls below their line. The museum adds, these crimes include forced sterilization, essay enslavement, torture, forcible transfer, persecution, and imprisonment or other severe deprivation of physical liberty. What's troubling to me is this.
The NBA has always been a league that prides itself on its player and its coaches being able to speak out openly about political and societal affairs. I just wonder, after the events of this week and the fallout we've seen, whether you would both feel differently about speaking out in that way in future.
Excuse me, we're taking basketball questions only.
It's a legitimate question. This is an event that's happened this week during the NBA. This particular question has not been answered. James.
Any other questions?
This was the NBA's PR in full swing after Daryl Morey tweeted a photo that read, "Fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong." The NBA quickly caved. It apologized to China, calling Morey's statement regrettable and noting that it deeply offended many of our friends and fans in China. Just like that, a league and its employees, players, coaches, execs, who take great pride in expressing their opinions on all measures of political and social discourse, got slapped into order, wrote Dan Wetzel. In effect, the Houston Rockets' games, where Morey served as GM of the team before moving to Philly, were taken off the air. The league lost an estimated $400 million from that tweet. However, as the saying goes, same crap, different toilet. The beat goes on in the form of silence on the atrocities in exchange for profit. CNBC reported the NBA's operation in China is worth more than $5 billion. The business includes a $1.5 billion media rights agreement with China-based tech company Tencent. While not speaking in any official capacity, Chamath is giving voice to the only reason NBA owners could have for their stance, that the Uyghurs don't matter enough for them to speak up. The dilemma the NBA finds itself in displays, yet again, the pitfalls in self-promotional and selective justice speak. The NBA says it's committed to social justice everywhere, apparently except in China, its #1 profit partner. This hypocrisy doesn't only harm the public image of the NBA, it also hurts the movement against racism that the NBA purports to support, wrote show favorite Dave Zirin, who did note the hypocrisy isn't just on this subject, but others. Detroit Pistons owner Tom Gores owns Securus, a company with an annual revenue of $700 million. It's the second largest prison telecom by market share, serving 3,400 correctional facilities and handling some 240 million calls last year. It also charges some of the highest rates, according to a report by the Prison Policy Initiative. Securus infamously gouges the families of those behind bars as much as $25 for a 15-minute phone call. According to the Ella Baker Center, a third of all families go into debt trying to stay connected with incarcerated family and friends, and 87% of those paying these fees are women of color. Then there is subprime Dan Gilbert, continues Zirin, owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers. His company, Quicken Loans, settled with the DOJ over its alleged role in the subprime mortgage crisis, which, as the housing market collapsed, disproportionately emptied black families' savings accounts. Then there's the inconvenient truth that, per a September 2020 report from The Ringer, 81% of NBA owners' political donations go to the GOP, the party of Trump, Jim Crow 2.0, and Blue Lives Matter, U.S. Capitol Police accepted. There's no doubt Chamath's comments were callous, selfish, and confirmed popular suspicions of how the 1% views the world, but they were also an honest reflection of the NBA's attitude toward the Uyghur Genocide and China more generally, put The Guardian. But I would go further. At the end of the day, it's about one thing: money. Does this comment affect my bottom line? Does that tweet crush X amount of revenue? The name of the game from the top down is about those green slave master presidents stacking up, period.
And we need to have open discussions and talk about human rights all the time. Because if we do not talk about it all the time, then your position, which is, I don't have time for that, I want to solve my problems, then gives the green light to dictators everywhere that nobody's watching.